12 cameras, 12 different homes, and one question that most dog owners have never actually thought to ask. Not, does my dog miss me? That question, everyone asks that. The question these researchers asked was different. They wanted to know exactly what happens, second by second, the moment you walk out that door. What does your dog's body do? What does your dog's face do? What does your dog actually do when you are not there to see it? And here is the thing. Before this study happened, nobody really knew. People guessed. Vets made assumptions. Dog owners told themselves stories. He is probably just sleeping. She curls up on the couch and waits. He barely notices when I leave. And some of that, it turns out, is true. But some of it will change the way you look at your dog the next time you pick up your keys. Because researchers Therese Wren and Linda Keeling, working out of the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, did something that sounds simple but had never been done properly before. They put cameras in real homes, not a lab, not a kennel, real houses, real dogs, real owners walking out real front doors. And they watched for 30 minutes, for 2 hours, for 4 hours. And what the cameras recorded, what the heart rate monitors attached to the dogs picked up, told a story that the dogs had been trying to tell us for years. We just were not watching. Until now, stay with me. Because what you are about to find out is not what most people expect. And once you understand it, you will never leave the house the same way again. Here is what the cameras actually showed. And I want you to picture this, not as a documentary, but as data coming in live on a screen. The owner grabs their bag. The owner puts on their shoes. The dog already starts to change. Not when the door closes. Before. This is the first thing the research confirmed. Dogs begin responding to departure cues. Keys, bags, shoes, the specific sound of a jacket zipper before a single step has been taken toward the door. Their heart rate shifts. Their body posture drops slightly. Their eyes track every movement. Scientists call these pre-departure cues, and dogs, through years of living with us, have mapped them precisely. The moment the door closes, here is what actually happens next. For most dogs, the ones without separation anxiety, the first few minutes are the most active. They may pace once or twice near the door. Some sniff the spot where the owner was standing. Some go to a window. And then, within 10 to 15 minutes, most of them do something that surprises people when they first hear it. They lie down and they rest. Not because they do not care, but because their nervous system, without the social stimulation of the owner, naturally begins to slow. Their cortisol, the stress hormone, may briefly spike right at departure. But for dogs without separation anxiety, it levels back out, their heart rate drops, their breathing slows. The body is waiting, quietly, efficiently. But here is where it gets interesting. Wren and Keeling measured something specific. They compared what the dogs did after 30 minutes alone, versus 2 hours versus 4 hours. And the behavior during the absence? Almost identical. Resting, occasional movement, mostly quiet. But the moment the owner returned, that is where the data separated. After 30 minutes, the greeting was calm, normal. Tail wag, maybe a sniff. After 2 hours, something different. More physical contact initiated by the dog, higher tail wagging frequency. More lip licking, which science has documented as a stress release signal in dogs. After 4 hours, the dog's heart rate at reunion was measurably higher. The greeting was longer, the physical contact more intense, more sustained. What this means, in plain terms, is this. Your dog is not just waiting. Your dog's body is keeping track, not with a clock, not the way you or I would count time, but physiologically, something in them registers duration. Something in their nervous system responds differently to 4 hours of absence than to 30 minutes. And when you walk back in, that response comes out all at once. The excitement at the door, that is not just happiness, that is 4 hours of quiet, patient, biological waiting finally released. Let that sit for a moment, because the next part, the part where researchers actually tested what dogs do during specific minutes of the absence, that is where this gets even harder to explain away. So here is where researchers went deeper, because one study confirmed the resting behavior. Another confirmed the heart rate. But a team of researchers, including work compiled by Scaglia and colleagues, wanted to go further. They wanted to know what exactly are the dogs doing, minute by minute, during those first 30 minutes. Because that window, the first 30 minutes, turns out to be the most revealing one. Here is what the cameras showed. In dogs without separation problems, the behavior in those first minutes was remarkably consistent across breeds, across ages, across households. The dog walks to the door, stops, sniffs the frame where the owner's scent is still fresh. Some dogs stayed at that door for several minutes, not scratching, not barking, just standing, nose working, reading something in the air that we cannot detect. Then, almost like a switch flips, they move. They check 1 or 2 rooms, not frantically, methodically, like a quiet walkthrough, and then they settle. And here, right here, is the part that changes something. Because in dogs with separation anxiety, the pattern was completely different. Palestrini and colleagues filmed 23 dogs diagnosed with separation problems. The difference between those dogs and the calm ones was not just in volume or destruction. It was in timing. The anxious dogs showed peak distress, the highest concentration of pacing, vocalizing, scratching at doors in the first few minutes after departure. And then something interesting happened. Those behaviors, in many dogs, decreased over time, not because the dog felt better, but because the dog exhausted itself. Now hold those two images side by side. Dog without separation anxiety moves to door, checks rooms, lies down, quiet, waiting. Dog with separation anxiety spikes immediately. Body floods with stress signals. Then slowly burns out. Same house, same closed door, completely different internal experience. And what determined which experience a dog had? The research pointed to one thing more than any other. Not breed, not age, not how much exercise they got that morning. The relationship, the specific nature of the bond between that dog and that owner. And that is what the next part is about. Sarah had a 4-year-old lab mix named Copper. And every single morning, the same thing happened. She would pick up her keys. Copper would get up from his bed. She would put on her shoes. Copper would follow her to the hallway. She would open the door. Copper would sit right there at the threshold and watch her go. Sarah thought this was sweet. What she did not know, what the science now tells us, is that Copper's heart rate was already rising before that door ever opened. Because Copper had learned the sequence: keys, shoes, bag, door. Each one a signal. Each one a small physiological trigger, building one after another into a full stress response before the goodbye even happened. Sarah told herself he was fine. He has toys. He has his bed. He has the couch. She was not wrong, but she was also not seeing the whole picture, because what Copper actually did, the moment that door closed, was stand at it for 11 minutes, just standing, nose pressed to the gap at the bottom, reading the air, waiting for a sound that was not coming. And then he walked to her bedroom. Not the living room, not his bed, her bedroom. He circled once, lay down on the floor, not on the dog bed in the corner, on her side of the room, and he stayed there for 2 hours, not sleeping deeply, not resting the way he rested when she was home. A lighter kind of stillness. The kind where one sound, the right sound, would bring him to his feet immediately. This is not a story about a dog with separation anxiety. This is a story about a normal dog, doing exactly what the science says normal dogs do, staying close to the scent of the person they are attached to, waiting in the place that smells most like home. And here is what hit Sarah. When she finally saw the footage from the camera she had set up one afternoon out of curiosity, she had no idea. She thought he forgot about her the moment the door closed. He never did. Not for a single minute. So let's bring this back to the lab. 12 cameras, 12 homes, 12 dogs, all doing some version of what Copper did. And what the research tells us, when you put all of it together, is something that should change how you think about every single goodbye. Your dog is not indifferent when you leave. Your dog is not dramatic when you leave. Your dog is doing something in between, something quiet, something biological, something that has been shaped by thousands of years of living alongside humans. They track your departure cues. Their cortisol shifts before the door closes. They check the space you were in. They find the place that smells most like you. And they wait. Not frantically, not desperately, but completely. And when you walk back in, that explosion of tail wagging and spinning and body pressing against your legs, that is not just a greeting. That is everything they held inside. For every hour you were gone, finally having somewhere to go. The science does not tell us dogs suffer every moment we are away. But it does tell us this. They notice. Every time. And the relationship you build with your dog, the trust, the routine, the way you say goodbye, the way you come back, all of it shapes which dog yours becomes. The one who settles quickly, the one who waits in your room, or the one whose body floods with distress the moment the door clicks shut. You have more influence over that than you know. And that, right there, is worth thinking about the next time you grab your keys. If this gave you something to think about, subscribe to Fetch Mind. Every week, we take the real science behind dog behavior, the studies most people never hear about, and we make it mean something. Not just facts, the kind of understanding that changes how you see your dog. We read every single comment on this channel. So tell us, did you ever set up a camera to see what your dog actually does when you leave? What did you find? Tell us below. See you in the next one.